Fantastic. So good morning. Thanks for joining me for the first of a two-part session all about record sets. My name is Miyako. I'm the Member Services Librarian for Public Services here at CCS. I will say, usually I do have my camera on at this point. My camera's kind of on the fritz right now, so I will be cameras off for this session. But hopefully you can tell I'm really excited about these two sessions coming up. As was mentioned in the session description, CCS staff are huge fans of record sets. We personally use them all the time. And as a result, we love to show others how to use record sets. So today's session is more of an introduction to creating and managing record sets, specifically in LEAP. So if you're new to record sets in general, or if you usually work in the staff client and want to have a better idea of how to use record sets in LEAP, this session is for you. So here is our agenda for today. I'm just going to start off by giving a very brief intro to what record sets are exactly. And then we'll look at a couple different ways to create new record sets, both from scratch and by using the LEAP Find tool. We'll also learn about managing record sets, including how to add and remove records, searching within a set, how to locate your record sets, and then on how to delete and undelete record sets. So like all of our virtual training, this session is being recorded. It will be posted online. And both the link to the recording and the slides will be emailed to everyone who registered. So you'll definitely have access to the recording, and you should have access to it within a day or two. So with that, let's kind of get started with an overview of what record sets are. So if you're not familiar with record sets, a record set is a virtual grouping of records in the database. And usually these records are grouped together for a particular purpose, like bulk changing items. Staff can create record sets for the major type of records, most commonly bibliographic records, item records, or patron record sets. Now, record sets can be private, so you can have them for personal use only, or they can be shared between colleagues if you want to like collaborate or use with the Power Pack. And we'll see in a moment that the record set owner determines who is able to access the record set. And record set functions are available in both LEAP and the staff client. But like I said, in this session, we will exclusively be looking at record sets in LEAP. And with that, like, what are record sets used for? There are so many ways you can use record sets, and part 2 of this session next week will explore this in more depth. But for those who aren't familiar with record sets, I did to like broadly give some ideas so you just have some context to anchor you in today's session, because I definitely think it helps to understand the purpose in order to see the value in something. So these sets contain records that can be worked on or modified individually, or allow you to easily bulk change everything in the record set at once. And because of this, record sets are very helpful for any kind of record maintenance or data cleanup. Record sets can also be used with reports. They are great for comparative reporting for items that may be difficult to isolate using simply reports or the find tool. And if we're specifically talking about bib record sets can be used with Power Pack promotions. So you can create pack elements like, I'm going to throw out some jargon here, like carousels, like web parts, or you can even link users to a set of records. They can also be helpful for targeted readers advisory or reference. And then of course, personal use, which is absolutely limitless. So that was, like I said, just a very brief overview of what record sets are in case you aren't familiar. But let's get into how to create a record set in LEAP. So I'm going to start here by creating a brand new record set. And from this point forward, I will be jumping back and forth between LEAP and our slides. So let me just exit out of our slides here and jump into LEAP if I can get around. There we go. So to create a new record set in LEAP, in the LEAP toolbar area, you'll want to click on this new menu here and select the option for record set. So to start, LEAP is going to ask what type of record set you're creating. So to start, when you're creating a brand new record set, you do need to know if you're creating a bib record set, an item record set, or a patron record set. And one thing you'll notice here is there's no option for a mixed type record set. So a record set can only contain one type of record. For today, we will be working with item and bib record sets as our examples. I'm going to be staying away from creating patron record sets only because this session is being recorded and posted online, and I just want to avoid displaying any type of patron data. To start us off, I'm going to create a bibliographic record set. So once you confirm what type of record set you are creating, LEAP will then open a blank record set work form for you to use. There are two fields that I want to draw attention to today, the owner field and the name field. And I'm just going to jump back into my slides here for a second. First, let's talk about the owner field. So when we think about ownership here, we're really talking about who can access the record set. And there's a couple different levels of access. So when creating a new record set, as you saw when I was in LEAP, ownership is going to default to your individual Polaris username. So when the ownership level is set to you, you're the only person who will be able to access this record set. Your colleagues won't be able to see it, or they won't be able to open it. Neither will CCS, and you can't use it with a Power Pack. So like individual ownership is fine if you have a record set that only you will be using, but if it's a set that you want your coworkers to be able to access, or you're going to use to display in the Power Pack, you'll want instead to save it to a different ownership level. So in addition to the username level, you can also save it to a branch level or a library level. And because of how we have permissions set up in the back end, these two levels are interchangeable. They give the same level of access no matter whether you choose branch or library. So by setting the record set ownership to a branch level or a library level, this ensures that my colleagues and CCS can access and edit this set. The second field I wanted to draw attention to is the name field. Now, there are a lot of record sets in the database, and many new sets are being created each day. For some perspective, there were over 500 record sets created during the first week of March alone. So again, that's a lot of record sets. And when we look at searching for record sets, or in part 2 of this training, we'll see how we can use record sets with Simply Reports. So if you're ever in a situation where you're searching for or browsing record sets, that's a lot of sets. That's a lot of sets and a lot of names to look through. So to make searching easier, we generally recommend that staff use a naming convention with record sets. And the naming convention is as follows. Start the set with your library's 3-letter code, and then use your initials or your department initials, and then the remainder of the set name. So using conventions and being consistent when naming record sets helps you to be able to locate that set in the future, even if you don't remember the exact name. Also, if CCS does need to step in and help with any troubleshooting, it allows us to easily identify which library owns or maybe working with the record set. So in the screenshot here, I started my record set name with my library's 3-letter code, DPK for displays, and my department initials of YS for use services, and then the remainder of the set name. So again, we recommend using a naming convention. It really helps to identify and locate the record set. Okay, let me go back to LEAP. and set my ownership level and just give my set a quick name here. So again, I'll use my library's code, my initials, and then the rest. You also have the option of using a note field to further describe the set. Notes may include like the search you did to get the results or what you're planning to use the record set for. It's not a required field, so you will be able to save the record set without adding a note. Now that I have my record set named and the ownership defined, I'm going to click the Save button so I don't lose my set. Now, once you hit Save, a record set ID number is assigned, and hopefully you can see my mouse here on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a unique identifier for your record set. It's important to know where to locate it. We'll be referencing the record set ID number when we look at searching for sets and quite frequently in the second training session. So in addition to the ID field in like this header area of the set, you can also locate the ID number in the properties view. And the properties view, if you hover over this little eye icon or if you click on it, it's going to open the record set properties. And this is where, in addition to that record set ID, you can also find information about who created the record set and if someone has modified the record set, when and who last modified the set. Let me just pause for a second and check chat to see if there's anything in there. Okay. So now that we saw how to create a brand new record set from scratch, let's talk about the different ways you can add records to a set. There's several ways that you can do this. First, in each record set, there's a barcode field where you can scan barcodes. So using the barcode field, you can scan in an item barcode or a patron barcode. It will add the records to your set. So here's a cool thing. When working in a bib record set like we are, I can still scan an item barcode and it will add the associated bib to my set. So let me just open up my little notepad file here because I do have a barcode at the ready. So this is an item barcode and I'm just going to paste it in. And as you can see, it took that item record and translated the item record into the bib record and added that to my set. You can also search for records to add to your set using this record set find tool. So clicking find tool button will launch a find tool that's automatically scoped to your record type. So right now we're working in a bib record set. So this find tool is only going to allow me to search for bib records. And using this, I can search for records either individually or search by broad qualifications. So for my first demo set, I'm just gonna say Bridgerton season 2 recently came out. We've got a lot of people at the library hyped about that. So I'm pulling together a record set of Bridgerton series titles at my library. So let me just set up a very quick search here so we can add a few titles to our new record set. And let me just make sure it's scoped to my library. Okay. Now using this find tool, when I see records I want to add to my set, I can just click the little checkbox next to the titles that I want to add. And when I've made my selections, click open at the bottom of the find tool, and it will add these selected records to my set. And of course, don't forget to click save as you're working so you don't lose any updates that you've made. Now, when working with item record sets or patron record sets, unfortunately, this is not going to be available for bib record sets. But when working with item sets or patron sets, there's an additional way to add records. So for this example, I'm actually going to need to pop over to Production Leap. There's currently a bug in training that's interfering with this function. But I'm in production. I have a brand new item record set open. So here's the great thing. With an item record set or a patron record set, when you open this actions menu down here, there is an option to add from file. And this option allows you to upload records from an Excel file. So if you're working with items, all you need is a file that includes the item barcode. If you happen to be working with a patron record set, you will need a file that includes the patron ID number. Unfortunately, I don't know why this field cannot use the patron's library card barcode. So again, if you have like a web report or a simply report file that includes these fields, you can upload that entire file to the record set without having to add item records individually. Let's see this in action. So I already ran an item list report in Simply Reports, and this particular report lists all of the video game items in my adult multimedia collection. And I want to add these items to a record set. So let me just close out of here. So I'm in my item record set. I selected this actions button, and I'm going to select add from file. Leap is going to prompt you to select your file from the computer. So let me just get to my desktop here. And once you've located the report, an additional field will pop up that contains the worksheet and column, basically the worksheet and the column header. So in this case, what it's asking you to do is just asking you to verify the column that contains the item barcode. And Leap is great with this in that it like pulls in the column names, not just like column numbers, but also the column headers. So if you have a header that says item barcode, it makes it really easy to pick out which column to point it to. And then finally, since we're working in Leap, if anything can't be added to the set, Leap will automatically create and download an error report. And in that error report, it's going to list any barcode that wasn't able to be uploaded. I did include a fake barcode on the list so we can see what that error report looks like. And when you're ready, when you've selected your file and when you've told it which column to look for the item barcode, all you need to do is click this add from file, and it's going to pull in all of the item records in that report. So just like that, over 1,000 records were added to our set. As always, don't forget to click save so you keep your changes. Oh, and I'm not going to let me save because I still have to name it. We're not going to keep this set, so I'm not going to bother with that. Since I had that fake barcode in there and it errored out, I do get an alert that one or more entries failed to add to the record set. And like I said, it downloads that report automatically. So I'm just going to open that up real quick. And it will tell me that there was no matching item record found for the following barcode. And now I have the item or items that weren't able to be added to the set. So I'm just going to close out of that, and I'm going to check the chat here. There's a question, are record sets fixed? Meaning record set. Let me pause on that. I have a question here asking if our record set's fixed, meaning say I just want like a certain type of thing. Can I have a record set that would find all Star Wars at any given moment? I think I have something, CCS can do something for you there. I'm just making a note of this. We're going to come back to it at the end of the session. Okay, so like I said, the add from file is such a fantastic way if you have a web report or a simply report, and you want to pull all of those records into a set, especially if you're going to be doing like some bulk changing. So we're not going to save this. I'm just going to close out without saving and head back into the training database. So the next section of our agenda will be looking at record sets in the Find tool. Before we move on, I just want to pause again and see if there's any other questions. Okay, great. So in addition to adding records to a set within the actual set, you can also add records to a set from the Find tool. And let me just close out of this record set and open up my Find tool. Now, if you've spent some time in the Leap Find tool, you've probably noticed this Add to Record Set button at the bottom of the tool. So this process is pretty self-explanatory. I want to run through it anyways. Now, when you're searching in the Find tool, let me just do a quick search here to bring up some records. When you're searching in the Find tool, if you have some records that you want to add to a set, you can select the checkbox next to the record or records in question, and then click Add to Record Set. And you do have the option of adding to either an existing record set, which will prompt us to search for the existing set, and we'll look at how to search for a set later on, or let me just cancel out. You have the option to add to a new record set. And if I click the new option, it will bring the selected records into a blank record set work form. And from here, I can go through that process of naming the set and designating ownership. Okay, I'm not going to save the set. I'm going to close out in a moment so we can look at a more exciting way to do this. So, you know, as you've seen here, what we just saw in the Find tool and like using these options down here, this may not always be your best bet. Sometimes you may want to create a record set around a whole bunch of records that all share the same characteristics, and it can be cumbersome to add records one by one if you want to add like 100 or more, or if you don't yet have the records in a file to upload. So I'm going to show you a method of creating a record set that may be more helpful in those situations. And using this method, what we're going to do is we're going to create a set from an entire list of search results. So I'm going to close out, discard my changes, I don't want to save that, and open up my Find tool again. So in this demo, I'm going to create an item record set that contains all of the items at our library with a circulation status of missing. So it's probably going to be more records than I want to select individually from my list. So let me show you how to do this. In the Find tool, since we're going to be searching for item records, I'm just going to change my Find tool to search for items. Now, in the Find tool, the thing that allows us to add all our search results to a record set is this little icon at the end of your search bar. I call this the shopping bag icon. If you hover over it, you'll see that it's formally labeled the record set options. When you click on it, it will open up some record set options. By selecting this little checkbox here, the Find tool will now send our search results to a new record set. And you'll notice here it says new. Unfortunately, we aren't able to send results to an existing record set, just a new one. Now, just like when setting up a record set from scratch, you'll need to give the record set a name. So let me just do that real fast. Let's say missing items. And then, as always, set the record set level. Let me just pause for a second and check our chat. Yes, question on is it possible to merge record sets? You can absolutely, basically what you'll do is you can copy the records from one set to another. I'll show you where to find that in the next section. So let's see, I've created a name, I've set my ownership level. Oh, now this warning size threshold. So the find tool will throw up an alert if our search results exceed the number indicated here. So the find tool is still going to add all of your search results to the set if it exceeds this number. This really is just an alert. So if you think you're going to have a large amount of items, you can increase this number and skip having to click through an alert. I usually just leave it as is. Like I said, it doesn't impact what's added to your record set. And when finished setting up these options, click apply. Okay, now I'm going to draw your attention back to this shopping bag icon. It's now highlighted green, which means that it's active. So let's set up our search now. I want to identify missing items at our library. So let me just set that search up. Point to items belonging to my library and set my circulation status of missing. Once I have my search set up, I will click the magnifying glass to launch the search. And this is what happens. Once you launch the search, the find tool will simultaneously perform the search, and it will also add the results to a new record set. So it will always prompt you, do you wish to open it now? I'm just going to say yes so we can see what we have. So here we were able to add almost 350 item records to a new set all at once without needing to click the little checkbox next to each record. Here's one thing I just want to point out. When you're creating a record set from the find tool, it does tack the date timestamp to the name of the set. You can keep that there, or you can remove it from the title if you prefer. And then let me just save my set here. And then what's also great, even though your set is open, you've got that go back to results button. So you can click this results to return to your results in the find tool. Your search is still preserved here if you did want to browse through your results. Okay. I'm going to walk through that again in a very slightly different way. Let me close out of the find tool and just kind of go back in to reset it. Now, a lot of times I do find myself in a situation where like I need to add my search results to a set, but I sometimes want to review my results first just to make sure that I'm using the most appropriate filters and also give myself an opportunity to adjust my search if I need to before that record set is created. So in these cases, I will set up and launch my search first, just so I can like check on my results. So let me do that to begin with here. My circulation status. Okay, so I've got my search going first. And you know, in this case here, I can like browse through my results. If I see I need to add another filter, I can add another filter. But once you've like skimmed through your results and you're satisfied with your search, you still have that opportunity to activate and add these search results to a record set. So in this situation, my search already exists. My record set icon is not yet active. So what I will do, I will click the shopping bag at the end of my search bar again, click the whole send results to a new set. Let me name my set. And click apply when that's all done. So now I'm back in the find tool. We can see the record set option is active because it's highlighted green, but nothing's quite happened yet. And this is because it's waiting for us to launch the search again. As soon as I click the magnifying glass, the Find tool will relaunch our search and it will add our results to that record set. Let me open this up. We're going to work in here for a little bit. So we just saw several different ways to add records to a set. Next, I want to spend some time in the actual record set and talk about different like management things, including how to remove records, search within the set, and other actions. Let me pause just to check if there's any new questions come in. So let's take just a quick moment to see how to remove records from a set. There's really just one small way you can do this. In the set, you will want to select the checkbox next to the record or the records you want to remove. And then open up the bottom actions menu. Now, I guess before we move on, let me just kind of explain the difference between these two actions. You've probably noticed that there's like a top actions menu and a bottom actions menu. And the way these are designed, the general way to think about the difference between these two is that this lower actions menu contains actions to take with individual item records. The top actions menu, which we haven't quite looked at yet, but well, in a moment, these are actions you can take with the record set as a whole. I hope that makes sense. Like I said, we're going to check on some actions in both of these. Okay, going back to removing records. So we've selected the checkbox next to the record or records that we want to remove. Then going into the lower actions menu. So again, this is where we'll find things that we can do with the individual item records. And you'll see there's an option to remove selected records. And when you click this, it will take those particular records out of your set. And as always, don't forget to save changes. Now, I'm sure some of you, let me just select one here. I'm sure some of you have spotted the fact that there is both an option to remove selected records and an option to delete records. So again, remove selected records is just going to take away the record from the set. It won't do anything else to the record. Delete selected records will mark that particular record for deletion from the database. I know it's probably anxiety inducing to see an option for deleting records so close to the option for removing records. If you work in the staff client, it's the same way there. But here's the decent thing. Even though the option to delete is present, it's still a permission-based action. I'm purposefully logged in today as one of our test users who just has general permissions. So I don't have any cataloger permissions. And this is so I can show you what happens when I click delete. There's a couple lines of defense. So when you first select delete records, it's going to ask me, are you sure? And this is your first line of defense. Now, if I say continue and I don't have cataloger permissions, I will then run into a permission block. It will force me to back out of the action. So even though this delete selected records is present for all users, only those with the correct permissions will be able to use that function. And then we have the question about merging record sets. So like I said, there's no way to merge two record sets, but you do have the option to either add records to an existing record set. So basically, you do have the option to copy records from one set to another one. I guess that's the closest thing we have to merge. So you do have the ability to use this select all checkbox at the top of the set and then add your records to an existing set. And it will just, like I said, copy everything over. There is one quick thing I want to show you at this top actions menu. So again, these are the actions that you can take with the record set as a whole. And the one that I want to highlight today is this create action. So you'll find this in each record set type. in item, bib, patron record sets. And what this create action does is take the records in your current set and it basically translates them into a different type of set. So here I have an item record set and I can translate or create a bib record set. Let me click this so we can see what it looks like. It will, of course, ask you to name and set ownership. Or demo, I don't remember how many of these I've created. I'm so creative with my names. And then it's going to open up your new record set. And what you have here, since I created a bib record set from an item record set, it looks at all of the items in my first record set and added their corresponding bib records to a new set. Let me pop over to my slides here so I can kind of explain why this is a cool thing. And I just have to catch myself up. So again, the create action takes an existing record set and translates it into a different type of set. And this is a nice feature because there are only certain things that you can do with each record type. So for example, you can only use bibliographic record sets with the Power Pack. Now, let's say you have a really awesome item record set and you want to promote those titles in the pack. So instead of doing all of the legwork to recreate this in a new bib record set, you can use that create action and Polaris will do it for you. So let's say, for example, your youth department maybe has a record set of all of the copies of this quarter's storytime books at your library, and you want to put that into a carousel of those titles on your online catalog. Just use that create option. Polaris will do that work for you. So we saw how we can create a bib record set from an item record set, but what does create action do in other record types? So if you have a patron record set, you can create an item record set from your list of patrons. This will look at those patron records and add anything they currently have checked out into an item record set. Now for a bib record set, this one's a little trickier. You could create the inverse and create an item record set from a bib record set. And I say this is tricky because in a consortium setting, we all share bib records. So we all have items attached to the same bib records. And if I create an item record set from bib record set, it will take all of those linked item records of those bibs and add them to a new set. So this means that your item record set can end up being massive depending on how many bibs you have in there and how popular those bibs are. Plus, you're going to end up with other libraries' item records in the set. So we just kind of do some playing around here. I'm sorry, I've got one chat. Oh, there was a question. Let me go back in here so we can take, oh gosh, I'm sorry, take a look. So is the delete equivalent to withdrawn in the client? That's a great question. So when we're talking about deleting records, it's not going to change the circulation status of the item. Whatever the circ status the item is, it's going to stay that. So if I delete this particular item here, this missing item isn't going to change to withdrawn. What it does is it will mark the item for deletion. So let me just open up the item record real quick. Where is, so this record status here. So the record status will then change to deleted. And then during that monthly record purge, the deleted record will be purged from the database. I hope that answered the question. If it didn't, please let me know. Okay. So I just kind of want to show you, we're going to play around with a bib record set. I'm just going to close out of these guys here and open up a bibliographic record set. 724, I think that's the right one. Yes, it is. So this bib record set has a Blu-ray bib from most, or maybe all, I can't keep track anymore, Marvel Studio releases. So do you see it? We've got 25 linked bibs. So it's a relatively small record set. And then I'm going to use my actions and create the item record set just to kind of show you how big these things can get. And let me name it as always. Create item. I'll set my owner and click create. So it gave me that alert for the large record set. I'm going to say create. And from those 25 bibs, I now have a record set of almost, actually over 1,000 items. So again, these aren't items from just my library. We have records from everyone. So just want you to be aware of creating an item record set from a bib record set. I also want to create a huge record set so we have something to play around with too. So when we do have a very large record set like we do here, looking through it, browsing through it, searching through it can be really cumbersome. Thankfully, Leap comes with a filter box. So using this filter box, you can enter a keyword and it will search all columns at the same time and narrow your results down. So you can search for a specific item or patron record by entering their barcode here, or you can search for items with a specific circulation status. So if I want to search for checked out items, I can just start entering that there and it will automatically filter the records down. Additionally, you can also click on any column heading to sort by that column data. So if I click on the status column, it will sort these item records by circ status. Now, if filtering or sorting, one big thing to remember is that Leap will only sort or filter what records are currently in view. And let me scroll down to the bottom of the list here. In terms of view, Leap will load records in chunks of 250. So our initial list view is 250 records. Every time I click this More button, it's going to load up another 250 records in view. I will have to scroll down all the way to the bottom again to see that I now have 500 records in view. For those in the audience who work in the staff clients, you're probably used to using the Control-Shift-A shortcut to load all records into view. Unfortunately, there's no such keyboard shortcut in Leap. So to load all records into view, you will need to scroll to the bottom of the list, click More, rinse and repeat until all records are loaded. However, I enjoy weird little shortcuts, and I do have a shortcut to share with you today that would at least save you from needing to scroll down to the bottom of that list each time you want to load more records. And this shortcut uses the filter box. So basically what I do here is I just type in some nonsense into the filter box. Because no records match my nonsense, I don't have to do any scrolling to access that More button. I can just keep clicking that button until all of my records are loaded. And then I just remove my filter and it will take that filter away. And now I have all of my records in view. So I do this because if I did want to sort by status or apply a filter, it will apply my filter to all records in view. I hope that makes sense. It's only going to sort or filter based on what's in view. Another quick tip about filtering your view. If you select all records when a filter is active, those records will remain selected even after you remove the filter. And let me show you what I mean here. In our current record set, we have item records from all CCS libraries. Let's say if I want to isolate my own to ad hoc bulk change or copy to a different record set, I can type my library's name into this filter box to limit the records. And I always recommend doing just a quick glance through just to make sure that like no other records snuck in. But now when I use this select all checkbox and remove my filter, my selected records are still going to be active. And let me scroll down so I can show you. So anything that was selected when my filter was active is still selected now. And then, like I said, I can ad hoc bulk change these records or copy to a different record set if I need. Let me just clear that out, make sure everything's clear. One final thing I want to show you here is an action that's only available when the record set is owned at the branch or library level. For some reason, this action is not available when owned by an individual user. I'm not sure why. You'll only see it if the set is owned by the library or branch. And this option is to export the set. And you'll find this under the top actions menu, just labeled as export. And when you export the set, what it does is it downloads the set as an Excel file. It will contain the same data that you see in the record set. So you'll still have like the title, the shelf location, the call number, etc. But now you easily have the records available in an Excel format that you can potentially like move the columns around or print it out if you want to like grab it and take it to the shelf to pull items. So I find the export set to be pretty handy. Okay, we're getting close to the end of our agenda. There's just a few more things I want to demo related to record sets, including how to locate an existing record set. I'm just going to close out here and pause for any questions before we start searching. Questions: with acquisitions capabilities coming to Leap, will we be able to create invoice, purchase order? That's a good question. I am not sure. I don't work with acquisitions, so I don't want to like make an assumption and say yes or no. So let me check to see what we can find out about like what's being planned. And I will get back to you on that. I'm just going to make a note. That's a good question, though. I'm really excited to see what will be coming in Leap in the near future. Oh yeah, I will see what I can find out, and I will add it into the follow-up email to the entire group. So along with like the slides and the recording and stuff. Any other questions before we kind of, okay. So next, I want to show you how to search for record sets. You can search for and locate existing record sets using the Find tool. Let me open mine up here. So to search for record sets, click on the search type, here, this first column. And if you scroll down, you will see the option for record set. Now, when you search for like items or bib records, you're used to seeing many different ways that you can search by. With record sets, there's only a handful of different ways that you can search and locate. Creation date, as it suggests, is searching by the date the record set was first created, or you can search by name. So if you remember earlier in the session when we were talking about naming conventions, this is where naming conventions really comes in handy. So if I don't recall the exact name of my set, but I know that I use the naming convention of my library code and my initials, I can still search by that, and the find tool will bring up any results that starts with with the code and my initials. Couldn't think of that. There's also a couple ways to search by owner. So if searching by record sets owned by your library, the easiest way to do that is by using organization owner. So this option allows you to select from a list. So there's no questions about like spelling or formatting. Also, if searching by organization owner, make sure to select both the branch level and the library level for your organization, just in case sets are saved at different levels. There's also the option to search by owner. This one's a free text search. So this is what I would recommend using if you wanted to search for record sets owned by your individual username. So let me just pop in the username that I'm using today. There's only a couple here that I have saved from today's demos. But yes, organization owner is the one I recommend if you're searching for ones owned by your library, and then owner, since it's free text, it's great for searching by your username. And then also, if you have the record set ID, you can pop that ID number in here and it will take you right to your record set. So if you remember from earlier, that record set ID, that's the unique control number assigned to each record set and can be found in the set info header. We're going to come back to record status in a moment. I'm going to skip that and just go right to type. Type allows you to search for a specific type of record set. So for example, if you just wanted to browse through all of the item record sets that you have access to, you can search by type and item and see everything. Now, one thing I do want to mention about these search results is that you're only going to see results for the sets that you can view, which means these are sets owned by your coworker will not appear in your search results. So if I search for sets owned by my colleague, Virginia, pop her name in here, nothing's going to come up, even though I know she's got a number of sets in the database because I don't have access to those. Okay, the final thing I want to touch on is about deleting and undeleting record sets. Let me just find one from today. We'll use this one. So as I've said before, there are a lot of record sets in the database. If you are done with the record set, it's a really good idea to delete the record set. Now, before deleting, I just want to draw your attention to this record status field. So the status of my set is final. We'll keep this in mind for when we come back to the set. And to delete a set, it's really easy. All you need to do is open the set, click on this top actions menu, and then click delete. So this delete will delete the record set, but not the individual records. As always, an alert will pop up and just ask you to confirm. And when you click continue, the record set will be marked for deletion and will close. Now let me just finish up here with some slides. In terms of deleting sets, record sets are never automatically removed from the database. They don't expire. They need to be manually deleted in order to be removed. Now, deleted record sets will remain in the background until that set is purged, or in other words, until the deletion is finalized. So it's like a double deletion process, if you will. CCS runs that process on the 3rd of each month that purges record sets that were deleted more than 31 days ago, which is nice. There's a buffer zone for deleted record sets before they're purged. So for example, anything record sets deleted by staff in March will be purged from the record, or will be purged from the database in early May. So this buffer means that there's still an opportunity to save a set and restore it before it's purged. Let me show you how to find your record sets marked for deletion but have not yet been purged. And again, you'll use that using the find tool. So this is where that record status comes into play. So before we deleted our record set, it had a status of final. And as soon as we marked it for deletion, the status of the set was changed to deleted. So if I search by record status of deleted, it's going to list the deleted sets that I have access to. Now, if you have, let me find the one that we deleted today. If you deleted the set by accident, you can still undelete the set and save it from being purged. So when you find your deleted set, here's that record status. Open up the top actions menu, and all you need to do is click this undelete button to restore your set. So if I choose that, my record set status changes back to final, and it won't be purged. So if you accidentally delete your record set, you still have an opportunity to save it. You have at least a month to be able to go in and to undelete and save your set. Okay, so with that, that concludes part 1 of unlocking the power of record sets. So today we learned a variety of things, including how to create new sets, how to manage sets, add records to set, how to locate sets, and more. In next week's part 2, we're going to take a look at some of the different ways staff can use record sets in their day-to-day at the library, and also some more advanced tools and actions that you can take with sets. I also want to take some time during that session where attendees can share some of the ways they or their colleagues have found record sets to be useful. Like I said, the recording for the session is going to be posted online. It will be shared with everyone who registered, along with the slides and a link to the evaluation form and an answer to that question about the future of acquisitions in LEAP. I also do want to put the, let me just pop it in here. If you have a few moments, I am going to pop the link to the evaluation form in chat. If you have a few moments today to fill it out, really helps us out. Thank you all for coming and spending some time with me this morning. I'm going to stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, watch for the recording in your inbox. And I also, thanks for coming. I also just want to take a moment here. I got a question earlier in the session about if record sets are fixed. So I'm not sure if this will help you out, but CCS does have a way to create what we call automated record sets. So what that does is that it queries the database on a regular basis to look for records that, I guess, match your qualifications, and it will pull those records into a database or into a record set, I'm sorry. So in the example given here, if you want to have like an updated record set of Star Wars stuff to share with patrons, we could have a record set where, like, once a week or so, it looks for, anything that matches like a shelf location or a collection or call number, I believe. And then anything new that matches those qualifications will automatically add it to a record set. So I'm hoping that is what you were interested in. And if that is something that you think your library would be helpful for your library, open a help desk ticket, and then we can work with you to establish that. Okay, so at this, great, I'm glad. At this time, let me just stop the recording.